because religion has messed us up. Let's be honest. You will see somebody, the time they're supposed to be working, that's when they will be going to religious homes. Whereas, I'm yet to find that religious group that say you should not work.
Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Life, Love and Relationships. My name is Oluwakemi. Welcome to this episode of Life, Love and Relationships. Today we're going to be talking about our dear country, Nigeria. What is right with us? What could we do better? And to under this topic with me today, I have Mr. Toba Oyefeso and Mr. Taufik Oyelami. You're both welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Yes.
So, Nigeria.
That's our country.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to be a Nigerian.
I'm also very, very proud to be a Nigerian.
But please, let's talk about Nigeria now without the politics. I say that because we all do well with ourselves, among ourselves, until the politics comes in. So, please, let's talk about, there are a lot of things that I know are good with Nigeria.
Absolutely.
But the politics that determines the leadership, or the leadership that determines the politics, because that thing is a cycle. It's a circle. I don't even know where one stops and what the other one ends. It tends to poison everything. So
how possible is it for us to have conversations regarding the country without getting into the politics? Because the politics determines our existence
as a nation.
Yeah, as a nation, as a people, how we live. If I'm frustrated about something, it's usually around some policies that's been determined by the government and all of that. Is usually, so I feel it's all inclusive. How do we discuss Nigeria without touching on the politics? And when I say politics now, I don't mean classism in politics. I'm talking about the politics as it affects our country. As we're recording this program right now, there is no power. There's no electrical power.
There is power. There is no greed. We don't have government greed right now.
That's what.
Or what? It's been privatized.
There's no NEPA.
Bottom line, there's no NEPA.
There's
no problem.
There's no PH.
So whether greed or greedy, NEPA, there's no NEPA. Now, imagine what we are recording. There's power and everything. She has had to go through a lot to set this up. So that alone has affected her in a way, because what she would have spent, investing in something else, she spent it
time and energy.
And all. So it bounces back. It all reflects back to the government and the policies and the politics of the country. So I think talking about Nigeria without talking about the politics is almost impossible.
Okay, you have a good point, but the way I choose to look at things is this: how do we talk about other countries that we like to glamorize without talking about their politics?
The Western world.
No citizens of those countries.
No, I'm going somewhere. Okay, you can say that. However, you have to also know that, however we like it, this thing that we call democracy, that we have all either voluntarily or involuntarily elected to live by, we are still learning it. So as a result of that, I don't think we as a people have been able to define boundaries. Where does government involvement start and end at? Where is citizen participation? Because I do not believe that there is anywhere in the world where politicians want to do what the people want. No, they are always selfish. It is the people who will make them do what they want. I believe we are in the process of learning how to do that. However, let's put that aside. When I say let's talk about Nigeria without the politics, I said it is the politics that just find a way to pollute everything and mess up everything for us. Let's take the example of, okay, we are recording this now without NEPA, sorry. Yes, but that's the truth of the matter is that is what we have now.
Situation.
But I see it as an opportunity. Despite all these inhibitions, we're able to do it. So what that tells me is, okay, there are challenges, but I also see opportunity. Anybody who is able to step up to the plate and do this, in spite of all the things that will make you not do it, that person is doing something. Let me take that a little bit higher. Look at the creative industry. All the challenges are there, but they are competing with the rest of the world. So for me, I see a lot of opportunities in our environment, and I'd like to focus on those.
On what you just said. In other words, this means that we're resilient in nature, right?
Very resilient people.
You can say that.
Yeah.
Well, I put it to you. We're cowards. I'll give you an analogy. This is a Nigerian. He's been standing this erect all his life. All his life he's been standing this erect. And then there's a huge pole that swings across his face. This is how he's been living comfortably. Then this huge pole comes and swings across. He bends. And then he notices that the pole is not going to stop coming.
He keeps bending.
And then he starts to be like this. He's bent like this. He used to be like this. And then he bends like this. And then he keeps living. Rather than finding a solution to, hey, yesterday I was living without this pole swinging across my face. And then today it's swinging. So what do? Hey, I'm resilient. I bend.
I think...
And then the pole keeps going. The level keeps reducing. And my man here keeps reducing to the level of the pole. Rather than finding a solution to, hey, just some years back I used to live erect. And then we tag this resilience. See, I don't really believe that's resilience. I believe that we as a people, we are too timid, or we love life too much. We love enjoying life too much, and we find it hard to face, to face our challenges and try to put an end to them. So we find a way to live around our challenges, and then we say that it's like your environment is dirty. Clean it up. But rather than clean it up, you start to live around the dirt, and then you say you're a champion because you can live around the dirt. That's how I see it.
So that's correct. But the question is, how much of cleaning up are we doing as a people? See, whatever we want to complain about the people we have put in charge of our affairs, you can trace it to us because they are really from among us. So now, the change that we're looking for starts from us. So a lot of times, we on our own, we fail to do the little, right, that was within our control, which if everybody does, becomes the big thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying things are right. And I'll focus on the things that are wrong. There are too many good things that we can focus on, and we contribute positively to the society. See, in the creative industry, I keep saying it, they are doing without the politics. They've shunned politics and focused on their craft, and the world is noticing it about us. The world is recognizing them for it.
Actually, the music industry.
Exactly. In fact, the what do you call it now? The other one,
the movie industry.
The movie industry. They're also getting there. See, these people are not waiting for anybody that's not just doing something right. Despite all these problems that we all complain about, they are doing things and the world is recognizing it.
Let's not forget that industry is thriving on global platforms that our governments have not been able to help us with.
You see, I keep saying it. Let us drive our conversation away from government. See, the global platform they are not charity. The only reason they've come here is because we have shown potentials.
Absolutely.
And these potentials we have shown despite the people who complain about.
I think one of the major challenges we have is the fact that we do what are the expected standards of living for us? You say that it starts with us, change starts with us. How much of those changes do we implement and all of that? But here's the question. If we do not have a standard, I can't hold you to account. That's one problem. We're not accountable.
You're right.
We're not accountable. So this is what I mean. When you're doing something wrong in public, how many people chastise you? How many people have the nerve to say, hey, we all agree that this is wrong? Do you know that if you're chastised, you're not going to repeat that thing again because you know that you're being watched?
And where do you think that problem comes from?
It's still us.
Exactly. We have not always been like that.
Yes,
While we were growing up.
Yes, I remember.
While we were growing up.
I remember.
Exactly.
We were not always like this. So what happened? What collapsed?
Unfortunately.
Because when we were growing up, I always say this when I was going to school, in secondary school. If you sneak out of school, if you sneak out and you're in your school uniform, you have people who would challenge you and say, where are you going?
Correct.
Where are you going? So you know people are watching you. Exactly. So as a result of that, you know, you put your act right because you know people are watching you. But these days, you know what? Everybody's minding their business. And then it comes with the wokeness thing. Like, hey,
exactly.
The wokeness mentality, like, hey, this is how it's done. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing. And then we just gradually degenerate. And we're here now, like, someone is doing something bad. Look, to see, take a very good, a practical example. You're in a bus and then there's traffic. And then the driver driving you, of course, you know how they drive. Public drivers, they want to, you know, flout the law and, you know, face one way and all of that. The downfall drivers. Yeah. And then if there's a downfall driver that has refused to join his pair, the people in the bus are the ones that will tell him that, why are you watching them?
Correct.
Are you blind? Please. Are we going to sleep here? Join these people and do this. These are the same citizens that will complain about the country tomorrow. I saw someone coming from church on a Sunday, wearing in their this white regalia, and immediately she came back from church. She had a Pepsi bottle, and she just tossed it on the floor. And I said, "Hello." I called her attention. I said, "Excuse me." She was all smiles, and I was smiling. I said, "But why would you do this? This is very wrong." If you see how her countenance changed, she was angry. She didn't pick it up, and she didn't listen to me, and she walked out. And I said, this is an example of how we are in all spheres of life in Nigeria. And all these things come together to shape what the country has become. And then we complain.
That was to his point. You know, such check should be systemic. It works in those Western countries that we look up to because it is systemic. There is a control. The government has the hold. So there is an expected.
We're back to politics.
No, I'm with you that the people will have a role to play, and we should be held accountable to a certain standard. But those standards should be defined,
described, reformed, and all of that.
And we all know that is what if you know that it is wrong for you to throw something on the floor.
And there are consequences. Yes.
Exactly.
It's like going into business. If you and I are going into business and we do not define the structure of the business, determine, you know, outline, you know, the conditions of the business, it won't work. I'm at Titi labor. Do you understand? Like, he's my brother or it's my friend. Let's spell it out. Let's say it's at this point, this is wrong. At this point, this is right. That's exactly how it should be. So I support what you're saying. Yes, there should be something that guides us. Because I was going to say, how then do we do it? Are we going to organize ourselves from house to house? But if there's something, there's a system, you know, like an umbrella that checks, you know, puts checks and balances into it and say, this is what is acceptable. This is the acceptable behavior here, and here. And it will help us. It will shape us in a better way.
And I think the problem with Nigeria is not that we don't have those standards defined for us. It is that they are not enforced.
They are not enforced.
And the arm of government that should enforce it for whatever reasons, we're not seeing the effectiveness of, because if we see the effectiveness of those different arms of government responsible for these different, you know.
So there's a lot of rot in the system. So if you talk about an arm of government that should be in charge of enforcement and all of that, they have intricate problems within that prevents them from doing their job, carrying out their job out competently. Yeah. Like I heard of something yesterday. I don't know how true this is, but imagine people who are serving life sentences going out to perpetrate robberies.
Yeah, I read that story.
Yeah.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
And they are, of course,
and they
being aided by...
And guess what? Yes, they go back. Yes, they go back into their prison.
And they share the loot with the prison officials.
Do you understand?
So, see, you know, fella said something a long time ago.
Do you get?
Fella said, when we was talking about teacher and teacher, so who is government's teacher is culture and tradition. Now, the failure is, as I see it, is we have moved away from the traditional culture and we have moved towards something that is not good for us.
It's not ours.
As a result of that, that culture, that new culture that you call it, is it woke you call it?
Wokeness.
Wokeness, whatever it is teaching our government, that's the people who put in charge of us, to do things the way we are complaining about now. So again, it comes back to which one comes first, the chicken or the egg. Now, I believe that leadership. Now, but if you want to see leadership as a collective, all of us will be involved. I think a day is going to come that somebody, with all these rods that is going on, all these terrible things that we're all complaining about, somebody is going to come and say, enough is enough. We have to change. Maybe somebody will come, something will happen. We'll create that shock that will bring about the awakeness. And all of us will say, no, we cannot continue this way. Because if you remember, this decay started from the days of the military. It started gradually. I mean, this decay in the society. Go check something today. No parking here by order. By order of who? Management. That's that lexicon order is not. I do not believe that in the days of Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello and co, somebody will write something by order, because there was so something as by order. But immediately the military came into how we govern ourselves. They did things the way, in a structure that worked for them, but really it's not good for the society. For them, of course, then they now institutionalize corruption, in that era. That one has passed now, but we're still living with the consequence. I watched one interview yesterday. An elderly man said, "We want to blame the youth, but we don't realize that these youth, many of them, if not majority of them, they've not really experienced how a good society should run.
What they met
is a rot.
It's a rot.
So
I say, to speak to what you just said about the youth, I'm going to touch on a lot of practices that are very negative now, and that have become that we celebrate, in terms of how some of our youths make their earnings and all of that. And people blame these guys, and I say to people, like, no, you can't blame these guys. This is not to support, illegal means of earning and all of that. But here is something. This youth you're talking about, just like you rightfully said, what did they meet on ground? When we were growing up, people held our hands. There was connection. There was connection between when you finish school, this is the next thing you're doing. This is the next thing you're doing. There's inspiration. You're inspired about something to keep moving. There was no gap. But these guys come, and then there's gap everywhere. They have to solve everything. They have to figure out a way themselves and all of that. And when they see that even the so-called leaders, they're now accountable.
They're not exemplary.
They're not exemplary. They're not accountable. They're doing things haphazardly. Anything they do, anything goes. As long as you know man and it's your own, it's fine. And then so they adopted it. They adopted it, and now it's gone out of hand. Now, it's gone out of hand because it's very extreme right now. Ritual killing is on the increase, is very high. And our love for money doesn't help things. We worship money. Everything comes to money in Nigeria. You want to have a conversation, it's money. You want to laugh, it's money. There's nothing that we do without associating with money. So once you have that kind of relationship with money, where it is slave to master, money is the master, you are the slave, then your moral compass is destroyed. There are very few things you can say no to, as long as money is involved. You say, if you give me money, I will remove my shirt just now. Do you understand? Like, where's that point where your morality just comes in and says, this thing is wrong? Like, I don't care what you're giving me. And
where did we lose? We need to trace where we lost it as a society.
You know,
because we used to have high moral values.
mhm.
I remember we used to have really, really high
Sis,
moral values. I remember that, you know, in university, even though my mom knew that I was, I was modeling, I was selling things, if I go home with a new top,
Should ask you where you found it.
she will ask me, oh, do you understand? Wait, but now you see your children wearing
So
things that you did not.
so back
When
to
did we lose
back
it?
to what he said, back to what I said, what he said about culture and tradition, and what I said about the spirit of being woke or wokeness. Right? Yeah, at the point, I started noticing something. You see, the dichotomy, the difference between what is good and what is bad. You see that thin line started erasing off. You know, before it was very, 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 very prominent. It was obvious this is good and this is bad by our standard. But after a while, it's not so bad now. They're just having fun. You know, it's not so bad. Nobody was standing for anything anymore at a point. It's not so bad. Then you have parents who, if you're so hard on the child, you're viewed as, come on, man, this is old school.
hello.
You get like your old school. You're not, the new school is, these kids are having fun. And then gradually, the line just thinned out.
One thing I'm getting from this conversation now is the family structure is important because it
Oh, yes.
directly feeds into the society.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So, for what this program stands for, how do we help the family to see the importance of standing on the right value system, passing it from generation to generation in a way that when we come together as a society, those moral values are celebrated, are appreciated. They are the standard by which we govern ourselves. Because you made a point earlier that the leadership comes from us as a people. How do we tell ourselves the truth as a people? We all know we've gone wrong. We are tired. But to what extent is our tired? And to what extent do we want to hold the reign of affairs and tell ourselves that we are the ones in control? Using the family structure to pass on the value system, the correct moral standards. Because when we come together, that is what eventually feeds into the society. And it is from this pool of people that we pick our leadership.
You see, before we even get to the family, the individuals who come together to become family, how much work have we done on the
Family
individual?
has raised
You know,
those individuals.
as Toba was talking about all these things, something just came to my mind. You know that song, Babatare Ado Koko Kati Obaka Were. So in that song lies the value of
Hard
the
work.
value we are selling to the younger mind.
Yeah.
That if you do this, I mean, today, who are the people whose shoes are sounding kokoka? The little child of yesterday that we told Obaka Were about Ayadu Kokoka, he has done everything that he needs, we asked him to do.
Yeah.
And his shoes
They're
are not sounding kokoka. Whereas the people that we called, we looked down on yesterday,
Yeah.
that were, the riffraffs of yesterday, they are the ones who come around today. Not only that their shoes are sounding kokoka, the kind of
They're calling the shots.
they're calling the shots. So how did we allow that to happen? So honestly, we need to go back as an individual to, but then I don't know how it's going to happen. Let's be honest.
I think
That's where we need to
no,
look
I
next,
think
because every Nigerian is tired.
this is it.
We all know
This is
what
it.
the problem is.
This is it. Let's not fail to recognize and accept the fact that things have changed. Let's not try to fit in a square, how they put that thing in a
Yeah.
in a round.
In a round.
It's not going to work. Things have changed. To speak to what he said now, digitalization. Things don't take so long to do anymore like they used to take.
Process.
Now, you could work for 10 years doing the right thing, and you're yet to get your act together. And then this guy just come in 6 months, in 3 months. He has made the money that you are hoping to make in 10 years. He's made it in 3 months. So how then do you tell someone who's coming behind that I am the example? There is a gap there. There's a huge gap. Now, because here's the thing. Like I say, we worship money a lot. It's all about results. They just check you out. Ah, this one is driving Phantom. This one came in Camry. Who is this one speaking to me driving a Camry? Look at the Phantom guy. That's the guy. You know that. So that guy epitomizes success, and they don't care to know what that guy has done to get there. Yeah. You know, and then you see this. What do you call them? These values like patience, endurance, punctuality. You know, all of that.
Love, respect.
They're all gone now.
Civility.
They're all gone now. You have people who resume work today and they would leave work tomorrow. They resume today. They don't like the work. They are leaving tomorrow. And they won't go through all of that. You give us. They won't even talk to you about it. Someone sent a text and they say to an HR that, you know what, I'm out. And the person said, you can't live like that. And the guy said, you're lucky you even got a text message about my exit. You know, so there's that. Now, to speak to your question, how? Number one thing is this: accountability. You see, when you are accountable to yourself and you're accountable to this person, if I am your boss, say for instance, you're my what's the relationship?
Subordinate.
You're my subordinate. I'm the boss. I need to be accountable to you. This is what I mean. Kemi, yes, it doesn't matter. Kemi, I promised you this, I promised you that, I promised you. I fell short on the expectation and all of that. This is why I fell short. Where apology should be tendered, I am sorry it happened. This is why.
You know, there's a cultural context to this. We used to believe as a people that the elders cannot be corrected. That is one of the things that have not served us well.
Accountability.
Accountability. Yes, you don't have to correct an elder in a disrespectful manner. But there's a way you can let the elder know that there's something that I expect of you, and I didn't get it. You owe me an explanation.
If the elder was, if the elder himself was alert,
and I think that is partly
if
why
the elder
some
himself
of our
was,
leaders have been able to get away with it.
It's the kind of relationship they have with us. Like, you know, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? You cannot speak to me that way. Meanwhile, you're in it wrong. So if the elder himself is alert to the fact that, hey, I need to be accountable to people. Like, you know, this has been entrusted in me by these people. I need to go back to these people. I need to check my books. I need to balance my books. I'm going to report myself. Questions are going to be asked. So because questions are going to be asked, I need to sit up and ensure that my book is intact.
Self-accountability.
Yes, but because I have this feeling that I am immune to it with anyone, who are the people that want to question me over this? That's how we got here. And you know what? They say respect is what? Is earned.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Respect is earned. If you respect yourself, you don't have to speak down to these younger ones to respect you. They will respect you because you brought it up.
Because they see how you conduct yourself.
I was a class rep while I was in school. I always make reference to this. I was a class rep and I governed, let me borrow the word, over 200 students. And they all loved me. Why? Because I was not partial. I had my younger sister in class with me, by the way. I had friends. But guess what? When I have a piece of information to pass to everybody, I am disseminating it all at once. And they could see clearly that this guy, meanwhile, there was a guy before me. He had cohorts, he had, all of that. They didn't like him. But I came out and I was playing and like very transparent and accountable as a leader. I know I suffered, but I understood what leadership means. Leadership means checking yourself.
That style of leadership would not thrive in our today's Nigeria because we are all, like you rightly said, we're all governed by the love of money. So you want a special treatment. You want a special treatment. You want a special access to the person in leadership. How do we come back? How do we come back to the roots to fix this thing, number one? And how does it feed into the current system that we have?
Now, number one, I'll say we need to be accountable. Accountability. Accountable to myself, accountable to my stewards, accountable to the people who serve me, to the people that I serve. Transparency, involvement, self-awareness, sincerity. Like, this is the task. This is where we're going. It's clear. And these are the structures within, which I should operate and all of that. And I should bring to book or account for this and that and this, explain myself even to my subordinates. Don't feel that you're too high, and that's one of our problems. That's number one. Number two, parents should start parenting again.
Say that again.
Parents should start parenting again. I say this to people, that one of the things that make you age in life is parenting. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's easy to pass it up to the child and say, figure yourself out. Because when you do that, you're not accountable. To be accountable is a huge task.
Because you brought the child into the world,
Yes.
you should provide guidance.
That's you should start parenting. Like, be more aware of your surroundings, of what's happening to that child.
Yeah.
They are saying things to you, and there are things they are not saying. Understand what they are not saying, and understand what they are saying. Know when they are talking and know when they are not talking. There are times they want to communicate, but they're not communicating. You should be able to tell between the lines that there's something going on here. Be aware. Do you know that if your child goes out, your child is representing you. Every time my son does something and he comes home, I say, you've represented us in a negative way. This is not us. This is not us. You've gone ahead to represent this family unit this way. So you should understand that every time you step out, you're carrying a badge, you're carrying a flag of a family, of the
Oyefeso family.
So that's you being accountable.
This is what we stand for.
Now imagine if, when your words go out and they commit crimes, imagine if it reflects back onto the parents.
Come again?
When your words go out and commit crime or get involved in illegal things and all of that, I'm talking about when they are old enough and they do it. If there was a law that states that the parents themselves should answer for some of the things that the word has committed, do you know that it will be a different ballgame? Because when that child is stepping out, you know that
sing it into his ears.
Exactly. Where are you going?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Because whatever you do here cascades. It comes back into the house.
Yeah.
Because the truth is this: when you raise a child, when you have a child, however you raise that child, goes a long way to influence and affect the society.
Absolutely.
If you create a monster, it's a monster we will get. If you create a thief, it's a thief you get.
If you create a child that doesn't have any accountability, self-accountability, or accountability to even you,
that child will enter an office and then plunge and steal. I remember what Samadi and his wife, what's her name again?
Nika,
said, yes.
Pastor Nika.
He said most of these leaders, they came out from homes. Yes. If they had very high value system in the homes, there are things they will not be able to do in the offices that they found themselves in. So the parenting is key. It's very, very key. And then again, value system. What's our value system? What would
as a family,
what's our value system? Then as a people, as an individual, what do I mean by that? What would I accept on behalf of my brother here? They want to do this thing, and it's not for me. It's not for me. I'm not benefiting directly from it. He is benefiting directly from it. But because I am not benefiting directly from it, I'm ready to allow, corners, cuts, and all of that, because I am not the one.
Because you're giving it to him.
Yeah, because it's not me. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't impact me.
So we have to watch out for one another.
But what we don't understand is that the moment you accept it for him, you have created a general rule that comes back to bite you.
That becomes acceptable.
It becomes acceptable. A professor of law stepped into a class and sent a student out of the class. Get out of my class.
I
saw that
I remember that video.
And nobody challenged him.
Yeah.
And he said, because nobody challenged this now, this has become a rule that you guys have agreed to silently, which will come back to bite.
So what you're saying is we owe one another.
Yes.
We owe one another a responsibility.
Yes.
Whether something is directly
impacting on you or not,
you must watch out. And that's one thing we used to have in the past.
Yes.
We used to have that system where, this person's child, you see the person, you have to say, oh yeah, this is not, I will tell your mother. And that child sits up.
That's our way of,
how did we lose that?
That's our way of, part of the civic responsibility of every citizen is you must fix yourself, fix your immediate family, so that in the process you fix the society at large. So,
and that's where we failed.
We have failed there. So now, why have we failed? because however we got here, we the new set of values that we have defined ourselves will not deliver the vision
Do we even have a vision?
Exactly. Not this the new set of values that we have defined ourselves will not give us what we're expecting.
What
Yeah.
we want.
So we need to redefine what our values are.
Absolutely.
At the individual level, fix what is not aligned, what does not
Yeah.
align with those values, so that we can fix the family and fix the society at large. I think
Yes, yes,
that's
thank
where
you.
the work
But
of the work is.
before we go, I would also want both of you to share your perspective on this thing that you both touched on. We've now placed money as our master, because that is the work thing now. Everybody, regardless of how you get it, how it comes. Even in parenting, we see that now.
Yeah.
Parents also focus on going out, making the money, because you want the child to attend the best of schools. You want to create, you corrected me yesterday on something. You want to create the best environment for the child. You're focusing on your work so that you are able to provide for the child financially, right? But we are no longer focusing on emotionally providing for these children, morally providing guidance to them, developing systemic values as a family. This is what we stand for. As this family, we love people, we respect people, we treat people, we are accountable. All of those value systems, where have they gone to? We know that we don't have it the way we used to. So how can we imbibe those things, and how can we let our society see that this is what we should be looking up to, and not just, oh, your child brought, oh, omo kini kan lo wa kimbe o pack R600 L600. Do you understand? How do we undo money as our master?
It's going to be very difficult. I won't even lie to you about that. To start with,
But we have to try.
yeah, as an individual, you need to understand the concept of money, wealth. What is wealth? What is money? And then what type of relationship should you have with money? That's something they should be teaching in school. Because they don't teach it.
Yeah.
The truth is, you should have a relationship with finance. There's a way you should act towards money. It should be master-slave relationship. You are the master, money is the slave. In all conditions, in all situations. That way you can maintain your individuality and your moral code and your standard. Because you know that there are certain things my father would not be happy. My father he would not approve of this. Our family will feel disgraced if I do this thing.
This thing you said is so huge. Before I got married, I used to model. And I recall, I think in year 2, I was approached by an agency to come and dance in a music video. And to be honest, I considered, because I was modeling anyway, we would have a dinner where that was my father would not have, we would have, I can't remember the second one, but the last one where I opted out was the bikini wear. Now, I'm not saying those ladies who are doing music, I'm not telling you are wrong, you're right. But the family where I come from, I knew it was not going to be acceptable, right? And that was my deciding factor, that this is not a deal I can walk into.
And therein lies the answer to the question you asked.
Yes, value.
Value is the family. Let us all redefine what our values are.
As a family, everybody should be able to say what the set of objectives and values
Correct.
are clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly, everybody should be able to say. So when you're going outside of it, we all know that you're stepping outside of it. Everybody knows. And even you know. But these days, these values have been eroded. They've disappeared. They're no longer there.
Before now, because those were the general societal values. So you didn't have to do much.
Because the society
it was a society, society will set
do it,
like.
yes.
But today we have changed that. So we have to be more intentional on the individual level and at the family level to say these are the things that we want. Then we start working towards it. And over time, the society
We can rebuild the society.
It will take we should start.
And I think the religious homes also have a role, because that point you touched on about setting objectives, value system of the family. I remember there was a time our pastor then, Pastor Tope Akimbola, preached on it that when we get home, we should actually write out the values, the mission, objective, and you would see it on the wall. My husband actually got home that day and wrote it. So every time we have children now in the boarding house by the grace of God, whenever they're going, I always tell her, remember what this family, just that thing you said, remember what we represent. We are kind to people. We treat people kindly. We do this. We are loving. Those are things that are important to us. So the religious, I would like you actually to touch on this. The religious homes, the pastors now, we need to, money is not bad. Money is to serve us. Quite all right. But we cannot place it above our value systems.
I won't want us to go into religion because, if you ask me honestly, religion has created more problem for us. In fact, religion is part of the problem, right? But as a people, I mean, all of us. If I say this now, all if you continue along that line, you see a lot of moral values were taught in those things, and that has to do with religion. Do I want to be honest with you? Go our traditional religion worshippers. Believe me, they are more upright today than all these foreign religions
terms of
that we are
moral,
all
yeah.
subscribed to. Let's be honest with ourselves. So if we want to go along the lines of religion, we're going to mess it up because religion has messed us up. Let's be honest. You will see somebody, the time they're supposed to be working, that's when they will be going to religious homes. Whereas, I'm yet to find that religious book that say you should not work. I'm yet to find it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all these things, bottom line, fix yourself, fix your immediate family, and the society will be fixed along the line.
Because you make up the society.
Exactly. So somebody will say that, let's take care of the little things because the big things will take care of themselves.
And this is an opportunity. This is going out. People are going to hear this. We owe it to ourselves to be more accountable. Let's be real. We have problems. Let's not live like we don't have problems. And what are the things that we can do to fix these problems? We've touched on a lot of things. Let's adopt some of these things. We complain about Nigeria because we have just one country. Even if you japa, the truth is this: your memory cannot japa with you. Your friends are here, your extended family
It's
members
who
are
you
here.
are.
Every time you hear something bad about Nigeria, it touches you wherever it is you are. I say Japa has carried away all of my friends, I don't have anybody here. There's nobody to visit. It doesn't make me happy. You know what I'm trying to say? And I feel sad because if the country was working, all these people will be here. They will
Yeah.
remain here.
If the country was working, yeah.
And that's the truth. So let's come together and let's have our standards, what we agree to. And when something is bad and it does not align with where Nigeria is going as a nation, let's castigate, let's speak against it. Let's speak up. Let's not keep quiet and watch people and watch ourselves destroy Nigeria. If something is not good, if for instance now this is social amenities that the government has provided and someone is going there to destroy it, don't keep quiet.
Yeah.
Do not keep quiet. Hey, what are you doing there? And not just one person, everybody. That's bad. That was made for this, it was made for that. When people know that I will not go, untouched if I do this, people start to behave themselves.
There's a consequence.
There are consequences because they know that people are watching me. But people know these days that everybody's minding their business. So if I touch this thing, nobody's going to do anything about it. And they do it, they go scot-free. Or you don't say anything because it does not affect you directly.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you will need that thing.
An important point you made earlier where you were talking about value for life.
Yeah.
Where you use the example of a downfall, you're driving, somebody's crossing the street, you're in a hurry. Let's watch out for one another.
Yes. Value, I think the standardization of value is what you accept for yourself and what you accept on behalf of someone else. Yeah. So every time they're doing something, even if it does not affect you, remember that it's a human being that this thing is being done for or done to. And so if I'm that human being, will I accept this thing? That's how you should be every time. Every time. If you're a developer, they ask you to come and build a matchbox for a human being to live in. Criticize that thing. Say there will not be enough ventilation. Bring it up.
Even if you're not the one
living, but because of the money again, They are
Money,
saying we
yeah.
worship money for everything. It's not all about money. You know, a human being is going to use this thing. It's not good enough. This is bad structure. I was going to do something, and someone asked me, a private thing of mine, and then the person asked me, I said, "Are you the one using it or someone else?"
Can you imagine?
And I said, "It's a human being that's using it." That was my response.
That's all that matters.
So give it the best. It doesn't matter who is going to use it. It's a human being, so give it the best. Now, whether you now put the best there and then human being now messes it up, that's a totally different conversation. But the first conversation, it's a human being. I will not accept this thing for a human being because it's substandard. No, I will not accept it. Are they right? Are the measurements right? Is it big enough? You know, you check everything. Can someone breathe in here? Is it fine? You say yes if it's a human being. Yes. If it's not, no. We need to do better. Not because it's not you. You now accept
And
it.
then you just get paid
And then you get paid and then you move on. Failing to understand one thing, you have created a system that is coming back to haunt you. Your cousin is going to need a house one day, and that house pattern that you have accepted will be the same one that your cousin will live in. With the gas close to that is, very liable to combustion, that kind of thing. And then it happens, it affects your cousin. But when you say no to it, you prevented someone from experiencing that. It could be your family, it could even be an extent, someone you don't even know, but it's a human being. Then you see, when someone is lacking something or dying, this person needs medical attention and everything. A human life, the first thing we should do is save that human life. It doesn't matter who the person is.
This reminds me of ambulance situations in traffic. How we are quick to excuse the police,
The siren.
but if it is ambulance, because we know that there's no immediate consequence.
But then again, you can't blame the people, because the truth is this: if everybody was accountable to themselves, the law has said that this thing should not be used anymore. There's some cases where they've said, and they still use them. So, do we really respect these things? That's the thing. So, in your mind, you're thinking there's nobody in that ambulance. Naija. They're Naija. This person just want a yard. There's nobody in that ambulance.
Because there are situations like that as well.
But if you're accountable and you know that I should not use this siren when I do not need
accountability.
You won't use it.
Yeah, if there's nobody in it.
Well, it's hard, because the truth is this: it takes a lot of determination, dedication, trustworthiness, honesty to do these things we're talking about. These things we're talking about, because you have to do them when nobody's watching you.
That's when it becomes really you.
You have to do them when nobody is watching you. When you are by yourself and nobody can hold you accountable. That's when you are required to do these things. How many people will do these things? That's how Nigeria can get better. That's how it can get better. That's how it can affect our choice of leadership, affect our policies, affect everything. When we get these things right, it cascades. Every other thing will be right. Until then, we're joking.
Thank you, Mr. Toba Oyefeso. Any closing thoughts from your end, Mr. Taufik Oyela?
See what I've been saying is, fix yourself at the individual level, fix your immediate family, the society gets fixed.
Absolutely.
All of us cannot japa. Those of us who have elected to remain at home, let's fix the society, make it so good. The ones among us who have japa, they will want to japa now. If we're determined about doing that, believe me, we will get it done.
Yeah.
If we are determined, you're very right. Yeah. Determination, focus.
Guys, so I think that is a call to action from all of us here today. As Nigerians, I know many of us are tired, but a lot of the things that we complain about, we are the things that we complain about. Let's fix it. Let's be accountable to ourselves. Let's be accountable, like Mr. Taufik said, to our immediate family, and let's be accountable to one another. Let us rebuild the society called Nigeria. We have so many things going really, really good for us, but our value systems have so much corrupted and polluted the good that we have. But I believe that we can really rebuild this by this individual thing, this family thing, and then building the society together once again. Thank you. And that is it from us today on Life, Love, and Relationships. Thank you.